I'm going to be using a tier list video today to break down the best UFC knockouts of 2021 because there have been some really amazing KOs within the promotion over the past year, and I feel like not a lot of them are getting represented in this best of the year conversation. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but over the past couple of days, the UFC have been putting forward their nominees for best knockouts of the year, best submissions of the year, best comebacks of the year, and stuff like that, and I feel like there's a lot of KOs and submissions that they just haven't mentioned, and I also feel like they should rename it from, instead of UFC Best Knockout of the Year, they should just straight up call it the biggest name that got a KO this year, because that's what they've been doing. I mean, there's certain KOs. I believe Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal is currently #1 on best KOs of the year, when we've had flush, wheel kick, KO, walk-off knockouts, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. But let's start straight away with this tier list video. I've got all of the KOs hidden around the perimeter of the screen, and I'll reveal them as the video goes on, talk about them for a little bit, and grade them between S and D tier, and say where I believe they belong and why they belong there and why they belong to be in the conversation in general. Let's start straight away and waste no more time with Adrian Ynez versus Gustavo Lopez. I'm going to put these guys at C tier. I believe this is a really, really underrated KO. And this is what I'm talking about. This was not in the conversation whatsoever. Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor 2 was in the conversation. A TKO against the cage. Adrian Ynez, earlier this year against Gustavo Lopez, got a picture-perfect walk-off KO with a piston right hand. I mean, this isn't even the punch that did it, but he landed one of the cleanest right hands with no telegraphing whatsoever and stuck it right on the chin of Gustavo Lopez. Now, of course, this isn't going to be too high up the list because the competition level is quite low, and I know I just blame the UFC for doing it basically only with the biggest names in the promotion, but I do believe there is something to beating someone of a high skill level compared to beating the Gustavo Lopez's of the world. But either way, this needs to be a part of the conversation. Adrian Ynez got an amazing KO over Gustavo Lopez. Go back and watch it right now. Honestly, throughout this video, every time I show you something that you don't remember, pause it, go look it up, and you'll know why it's a part of this. He landed a beautiful right hand out of nowhere with no telegraphing whatsoever and just walked off like it was nothing to a flatline KO in the third round. Amazing by Adrian Ynez. Puts him at number C on this tier list. Moving on to someone else who is Raphael Fizzyev against Brad Riddell. I'm going to put this one at B tier, and that's how high the fucking standards are for S and A tier in this tier list video. I'm putting this one at B tier. You want to know why? It was a bit messy. It wasn't like a flatline walk-off, really. It was a great wheel kick. It was kind of a walk-off, but Riddell was still with it a little bit. He tried to shoot a takedown, stuff like that, but it was an amazing wheel kick. It just didn't quite have the connection that I wanted to see from the wheel kick. I'm sure we can all agree on this. If he would have KO'd Brad Riddell and took him off his feet with a wheel kick and sent him flying backwards like some of the other wheel kicks this year, maybe it would be at A tier or something like that. But Raphael Fizzyev, Brad Riddell, the KO was beautiful. And more importantly, it was so perfectly set up. This was not a fluky right hand that randomly landed out of nowhere, or an overhand where the guy's looking at the ground and just not even looking at his target and it somehow lands. This was a perfectly set up wheel kick. He saw Brad Riddell circling to Fizzyev's left against the cage whenever he was being cornered. He timed him, stepped through, landed the wheel kick as he circled into it, and put him away with it as well. It wasn't a KO. He didn't knock him down on his ass, completely out cold, flatlined or anything like that, but he did rock him really badly, which led to a TKO finish for Raphael Fizzyev, and it was an amazing KO, so it belongs at B tier. Moving on to another KO that needs to be mentioned, which is Iangary versus whatever this guy's name was, Jordan Williams, right? Maybe the fact that I don't really remember his name too well means that he shouldn't be on this video, but I think this is a great fucking KO. D tier. One of the better KOs this year. I know he did not look good in his performance, and that's what people are really basing the entire performance on, the fact that he got clipped a couple of times in the early round. Didn't look like he held range too well, but at the end of this first round, that might be one of the nastiest right-hand counter KOs we've seen. Like, he slid out the way. Wasn't the best competition opponent, I understand, but he slid right out the way, landed a big right hand right down the pipe, perfectly on the chin of Jordan Williams, folded him over like a fucking lawn chair. Down goes Williams, flopping backwards, out cold. Iangary gets the walk-off KO in the first round. I mean, it was one of the best KOs this year. Honestly, I know people are like, you know, the performance wasn't too great, but come on. Slide out the way that easily and boom, pissed him right hand, straight on the chin, flatlines him in the first round. I've got to put it at a D tier. It's definitely a part of the conversation. Let's move on to another fight that happened, which was... I couldn't find the right angle for Vera actually landing it, but Marlon Vera's front kick KO on Frankie Edgar. The reason why it's not a bit higher, in my opinion, this should be around C tier or something like that, but it wasn't a clean KO, was it? You know what I mean? It was a weird stoppage. Edgar felt like he should have been able to let it keep going. I think it should have been stopped because he's Frankie Edgar and he doesn't need to get put out cold to be finished. We just don't need to see that. He's a legend of the sport, but at the same time, it was a great front kick, which basically led to a TKO to ground and pound afterwards. And because it wasn't like a flush, boom, front kick, collapse backwards, out cold shot, it does hold it back from being a bit higher up on this list, but it was a nasty front kick to the jaw, and Edgar just got rocked, stumbled to the canvas. They stopped the fight, but it wasn't that fucking... It wasn't that crumple into a lifeless body that I need to see to put you B tier or above. And even Fizziyev's lucky to be getting B tier here. The KOs were really good this year. But even still, it needs to be a part of the conversation because it was an amazing finish with a front kick to the face, for fuck's sake. Moving on to another fight that happened this year, another finish, another knockout, which was Alex Pereira versus Andreas Michailidis. I'm putting this at B tier. It's being held back from A tier. It was a flush flying knee, straight on the chin, out of nowhere in the second round. He set up Andreas as well because he knew Andreas would be going for a takedown to immediately land that flying knee KO in the second round as soon as it started. But he didn't get the walk-off. He didn't get the cool walk-off where nothing happens. He, like, walked off for a bit and then sort of came back and thought, oh shit, he's not finished, I'll land a couple of ground and pound shots. That ruins it. That really ruins it. So it wasn't a flush KO. The guy was sort of huddled up on the ground. I need someone to be on snooze mode for it to be a great KO. Worthy of A or S tier. But either way, Alex Pereira got an amazing flying knee finish in the second round of his bout. And I mean, it was absolutely amazing to see. Set up Andreas perfectly. I picked Andreas to out-grapple him in that fight. And he looked like he was going to do that after the first round. He completely out-grappled Alex Pereira. Kept him in good position. Kept control time. But Alex Pereira said, fuck all that shit. I'm landing this flying knee. And put Andreas Michailidis down badly. Finished him off with ground and pound, but because of how great the flying knee was, I'm going to have to put it at B tier here. Moving on to another fight that happened, another knockout, which was... what these fucking images that I've used. I couldn't find the angle for it because it's a weird looking KO, but Charles Barnett needs to be a part of this. He does need to be Chris Barnett, not Charles Barnett. What the fuck am I talking about? I'm thinking Charles Bennett. Either way, Chris Barnett needs to be a part of this conversation. Wheel kick KO in the heavyweight division. Not just a wheel kick KO in the heavyweight division. A wheel kick KO in the diabetic section of the heavyweight division. Very, very hard to do. Landed it perfectly. I picked him to do it as well by wheel kick KO, so I'll take it. Not favoritism here. I do believe it was an amazing finish. It was just a bit sloppy afterwards with the ground and pound. Gian Villante got right back up afterwards as well. It was a good stoppage, but it just wasn't that fucking, oh my god, he's dead. You know what I mean? Like, Gian Villante went down, tried to recover, got a bunch of ground and pound shots against him while he was trying to get back up to his feet, but it was too little too late. And Chris Barnett got the job done. Amazing KO, amazing finish, needs to be a part of the conversation. Definitely top 10 in my opinion, purely because it was a wheel kick from a man who looks like that. And it was a great wheel kick. It wasn't like some fluky, shitty wheel kick that somehow landed with, like, the calf. It was like a great setup, step-through wheel kick, heel straight on the chin, and then this celebration just tops it off afterwards. So I'm going to put him at C tier here. Moving on to another KO that happened this year, which was Corey Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar. I'm putting it at A tier. I think it belongs at A tier. It really does belong at A tier. I love this KO. I think this is one of the better KOs this year. Definitely one of the better KOs this year. I was questioning whether or not it should be at S tier. This might have given away who's going to be at S tier. But either way, Corey Sandhagen, I mean, he sent Frankie Edgar to the Shadow Realm. If you want to compare the Frankie Edgar oh my god, Edgar's in two of them. Oh my god, I didn't even realise that when I was making this video. I feel pretty bad for him now. But either way, Corey Sandhagen, flying knee, flush in the first round, perfect, walk-off, and not just a walkout. And it wasn't just a walk-off, sorry. I'm going to move my camera over a bit because I've realised I can accommodate for more space here. Either way, it was not just a walk-off. It was maybe the coolest walk-off you've seen. Edgar's slowly, limplessly crashing towards the canvas, and in the background, Sandhagen's just looking back at him like, yeah, I got it, skipping off, like he doesn't even give a fuck. Like, he didn't even walk off. He straight up strolled off. This was a stroll-off KO. Skipping his way around. I've fucking got this shit. Edgar collapses to the canvas, completely out cold. I mean, this was one of the baddest KOs of the year. Could be at S tier, but there's only room for one there. I'm putting him at A tier, though, because it was an amazing finish. One of the best I've seen in UFC history, so definitely has to be in the mix. Moving on to another fight that happened this year, another great KO. Ynez versus Zhang Weili. I'm putting it at a B tier. I'm putting it at a B tier again. Head kick KO in the first round, out cold. Few follow-up shots afterwards, of course, which does ruin it. It wasn't a walk-off or anything like that, but head kick KO in the women's strawweight division. Switch kick right to the face. First minute of the first round, I believe, right? No, wait, sorry. First minute of that round, I believe. Real quick KO, set her up perfectly, landed the switch kick to the head after a couple of inside leg kicks low to begin with, and she got the job done. Amazing KO, couple of follow-up shots afterwards. Zhang was getting back up. She wasn't completely out cold, but she definitely went lifeless for a second there, which justified the stoppage. I thought it was a great KO in a championship bout as well. I mean, that does get bonus points. Not just a regular head kick KO. It happened at a championship bout, so that makes it even more impressive, in my opinion, to do that to a top-level opponent. So I'm putting it at B tier. Amazing KO. Probably top 10 of the year, definitely, and it needs to be in the mix. Moving on to another knockout that happened this year, which was Francis Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic. I put in it at C tier. It was a great check hook KO. It was mainly because of the mistakes of Miocic that it occurred, rather than the actual, like, amazingness of Ngannou. Like, Ngannou got cracked with a big shot. Stipe rushed in, and Ngannou landed a check hook to get the KO. It was a great KO. Put Stipe out cold, folded him backwards like he was playing a guitar and doing like a slide on his knees or something like that, and then the finishing blow afterwards was amazing. Would it have been more epic if he walked off and maybe could have got himself put at B tier? Yes, but it was an amazing KO, even if it was just a regular punch that put someone out cold, which does happen quite often in MMA. You have to put it on here because it was a championship bout, and Ngannou Miocic, the rematch, he redeemed himself of this KO after a dominant loss beforehand. Definitely needs to be a part of the conversation. Beautiful check hook. I mean, look at it. Check hook right on the jaw. I don't even know if this was the KO blow. It's just one of the shots that landed clean. I think this was maybe the first shot that put him down, like the lead jab that he landed on him. But at the same time, the check hook that put him down was picture perfect, right on the chin, and Stipe folded like a lawn chair. So you've got to put it at C tier, and definitely has to be a part of this video as well. Moving on to another KO that happened this year, which was Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. Could be hard to tell what this was unless I described it to you, but that is Sean O'Malley landing a flush right hand right on the chin of Thomas Almeida. It's at D tier. I know this isn't the best of KOs because he was a grounded opponent, but my God, if you haven't seen the video where O'Malley so nonchalantly waltzes up to the lifeless body of Almeida and plants that right hand on him, and you can hear the thud of Almeida's head hitting the canvas, it is one of the nastiest KOs. Like, it might be the best ground and pound strike I've seen in MMA history. Like, genuinely. There are some other good ones that might be a part of this video as well, by the way. But either way, that was an amazing KO. The check hook that originally put him down wasn't the best looking. Wasn't a great finish. If that was where the fight was stopped, it wouldn't even be on this fucking list. It would be like even an early stoppage, some would say. But I feel like it was a great KO. Walked up to him, fucking like nothing was going down, just fucking strolled his way up to him so nonchalantly. Kaboom! Nuked his face on the canvas. Amazing KO in my opinion. Needs to be in the mix. Moving on to another KO that happened this year, which was... oh, this is Manel Kape versus Ode Osborne. Not mentioned, but a flush flying knee. I get it, he missed weight, so they didn't give him a bonus or anything, but at the same time, the guy got a fucking flush flying knee KO. Can he get, like, a bit of points for that, you know? Like, a little bit of points, like some bonus points. Like, that was an amazing flying knee KO. Ode Osborne was shooting for a takedown at the time that it happened, and Manel Cap timed him perfectly. Jump knee, square into the face, couple of TKO shots afterwards. If this was a walk-off KO, it'd probably be up there with Corey Sandhagen and Frankie Edgar, but it was a flush flying knee that put down Ode Osborne. Couple of follow-up shots afterwards did put him out for good by TKO at the end of it, but that flying knee was amazing, and the trajectory that he achieved with that flying knee out of nowhere, he sprung up there high, way up high, against a taller opponent as well. That's got to be mentioned here, right, for flying knees as far as they go. Corey Sandhagen, Frankie Edgar, you're way taller than Frankie Edgar. That knee is going to be a weapon. Manel Cap's shorter than Ode Osborne by a couple of inches, I believe. So, for him to land that flying knee on a taller opponent as they're shooting, perfect timing, gets the KO, needs to be a part of this conversation. I'm putting him at B tier. Moving on to someone else who got a KO this year, which was, oh, that's Ricky. No. This is, Miles Johns versus Anderson Dos Santos. I made this video yesterday night, so I've forgotten some of them, but that is a really good KO. Miles Johns, Anderson Dos Santos. If you have not seen this KO, it's not in any of the lists. Please, I beg of you. I beg of you right now, watch this KO. Go and find this KO. Lead hook to the body, right hand over the top. It was one of the best combination KOs I've seen all year long. Amazing finish by Miles Johns. Of course, has a win over Adrian Ynez in his career, on the come up right now in the bantamweight division. I mean, amazing KO. If you haven't, I can't really describe it too well, but it was a lead hook to the liver with the left hand. Anderson Dos Santos' hands came down, then he switched it up completely, threw the right hand over the top afterwards, and it connected perfectly on the chin, and just folded Anderson Dos Santos backwards, out cold, looking at the ref like, oh, what? And it's just over. Miles Johns gets the KO. It was a beautiful finish, a beautiful, beautiful finish, and Miles Johns was looking really good before that as well. It was a great performance, finished by an amazing knockout, great one by Miles Johns, lead hook to the body, right hand over the top, two-punch combination, finishes and folded Anderson Dos Santos out cold in the third round, I believe, as well. To have that kind of power in the third, very impressive. Moving on to another knockout that happened this year, which was KaraFrance versus Cody Garbrandt. I'm putting this at C tier. I think this was one of the better KOs this year. I know it wasn't out cold. I know it wasn't one-punch walk-off. But it's got to be in there. I mean, KaraFrance, I honestly was questioning putting in him versus Rodrigo Bontorin as well, but I didn't end up doing it because it was a bit messy, because he came back around afterwards looking for another one and it kind of ruined it. And also, Bontorin wasn't really out cold when it happened. He was just stumbled all over the place. But either way, the Cody Garbrandt KaraFrance KO, when a big name loses, the only thing people talk about is how the big name didn't do good, not how KaraFrance did amazing. I picked KaraFrance by first round KO easily against Cody Garbrandt. He went out and did just that. And KaraFrance fucking did it, man. Beautiful right hand, straight on the jaw of Cody Garbrandt to start things off. Landed a couple of shots afterwards. Garbrandt's falling over all over the place, telling him to come and get him against a cage like he's going to swing back and forth. Then KaraFrance tracks him down, pins him in the corner of the octagon, lands a couple of combination punches. I think it was like a lead right hand uppercut off the lead hand afterwards, like a 1-2-3, straight on the chin. Garbrandt goes down, and as he's sort of getting back up, another right hand over the top from KaraFrance puts him down again. It was just one of the more brutal KOs I've seen this year. Not a flatline KO until the end. Obviously, there was a lot of droppings before and knockdowns before, which is a better word than droppings, which just sounds like shit. But either way, KaraFrance got an amazing KO over Cody Garbrandt, and I think it needs to be at C tier because the technique he showed, swinging in and out, ducking under shots and landing those big shots. I mean, flyweight benefits maybe, but what an amazing KO from KaraFrance, needs to be a part of this video. Moving on to another knockout that happened this year, which was Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman. Amazing knockout that took place this year. Kamaru Usman got a flush right hand. I'm putting it at C tier. It was one of the better KOs this year for sure. Flush right hand, straight on the chin. I'm thinking of moving KaraFrance down. So what we're going to do is this. Masvidal, Usman 2. and we'll put this at the end of C tier at least to show that this one is at least superior. Amazing KO from Kamaru Usman. Flush on the chin of Jorge Masvidal. Not the most worthy contender at the time for the belt. Of course, Masvidal had not won. He was literally coming off a loss and got a title shot because of the situation about him taking it on short notice and stuff like that. But Kamaru Usman, right hand, square on the jaw, beat Masvidal to the punch. Big right hand straight down the pipe from Kamaru Usman. Now, is it a flying knee? No. Is it a switch kick to the head in the first round? No. Is it another flying knee? Is it a wheel kick? Is it a flying knee? Not really. But I'm going to promote it to the best KO of all of these C-tier KOs, is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to rearrange some things as well, because it was an amazing finish. Right hand, square on the jaw. I think out of all of these, it's the best C-tier KO. It could honestly be B-tier just because of the level of competition, but at the same time, I've seen many right hands in the sport. Could it have been one of the better right hands I've seen? Yeah, it was one of the best right hands I've ever seen land on an opponent for sure, in combat sports in general. But we're talking flying knees, we're talking wheel kicks, we're talking head kicks, we're talking all the best stuff. So I'm putting this at C tier, even though it was an amazing KO at the top of the sport. I'm looking for KOs you don't see often. Yeah, I'm saying I'm looking for limbs that don't get used very often to get these KO blows. So I'm putting it at C tier. Best of the C tier, but still a part of the list. Amazing, amazing KO from Kamaru Usman. Gets to finish in the third round, I believe it was. Or was it the second round? I think it was the second round. Flash right hand on chin. Set him up perfectly for it as well with the lead hand. Amazing KO from Usman. Moving on to another KO that happened this year, which was Dominic Reyes versus Jiří Procházka. This is where you separate yourself, spinning elbow, flatline. Not only flatline delayed. Oh, the delaying of the flatline is always better than just the flatline in my opinion. The delayed flatline KO where you watch them go, not just they immediately get hit and crumple in on themselves and flop out on the canvas like Machida when he got choked out by John Jones. Amazing to see that as well, by the way. But there's something about the slightly delayed timber when people go down. The Woodley Jake Paul KO happened the same way. There was another KO that happened this year that same way as well. Sandhagen versus Joaquin Buckley happened last year that way. Buckley landed that spinning back kick, jump spinning back kick to the face on Sandhagen, and although it was a great finish, imagine if Impa just went down covering up, it would not be the same. He stayed still in the air for a bit and then slowly tipped his way backwards. It was an amazing finish from Jiří Procházka, an amazing fight beforehand as well, and this was like within the fucking flames. You know what I mean? You see Corey Sandhagen, Frankie Edgar, you know, Edgar's smaller, he's moving around, he's dipping his head a lot in the first round, and Sandhagen times the flying knee because that was his plan. Fair play. Fizzyev sees that Riddell's moving right in a very slow-paced fight where they're being very technical, and times it to land the wheel kick as he's circling into it. I understand. This was chaos that he found this in, okay? Reyes Procházka was absolute fucking madness start to finish. One of the best fights of the year so far, and I'll make other tier list videos towards the end of the year as well, breaking down some of those amazing wars that we've had. But either way, I mean, the spinning elbow that he landed out of nowhere, found it perfectly on the chin of Reyes, in the middle of chaos, after being rocked just beforehand and basically being put out cold when he was on top of Reyes on the ground, if you remember. He got up kicked and he went out cold for a second. Immediately after that, he's popping back up to fucking chase down Reyes and still has the wherewithal in his fucking brain to land this spinning elbow. You've got to give it to Jiří Procházka. Spinning elbow, flush, delayed flatline KO at the top of the sport. I'm putting it at A tier. You don't see those very often, especially in the heavier divisions, right? You see some spinning elbows from John Jones. They often don't lead to KOs. Sometimes you'll see a bantamweight or a featherweight land a spinning elbow, but as far as I'm aware, this is the first spinning elbow KO I've seen in the light heavyweight division or above. Other than, am I thinking right in saying, I think but other than one, which was John Jones against Stephan Bonner. Didn't he spinning elbow him at some point and put him down? I've got an image of that in my brain. My memory might be incorrect, but either way, this was one of the best KOs I've seen in a very long time. Genuinely shocked me to see him do it. So, at A tier, moving on to another KO that happened this year, which was Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Alessio Di Chirico. Amazing KO. Head kick in the first round. The Chirico didn't see it coming. It was just a simple head kick, but it was a fucking head kick KO, a walk-off KO, and a brutal one that put Alessio De Chirico completely lifeless. Here's what I liked about this KO so much. He landed it, and it was as Alessio dipped onto the left side. So Alessio dipped to his left, got hit by this head kick, and instead of just sort of falling forward or backwards or to the left anyway, he literally, his whole body got shimmied over to the other angle. Like, he leaned into it this way and it was sort of like, boom, and he fucking flew the other way and just sort of completely flipped himself to the other direction before landing on the canvas. It was an amazing KO by Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Needs to be a part of this video as well. Moving on to another KO that happened. Derek Lewis versus Curtis Blades. Flush, uppercut KO. We've seen him before. It didn't really land clean, so I don't know why I just said flush. It was a wrist. But that goes to show the power of Derek Lewis. He was being dominated before it, so he did have a bit more extra shock factor. But he threw an uppercut, landed with the wrist, KO'd Curtis Blades badly. The follow-up shots were there as well. Again, why not walk off? A walk-off, Derek Lewis, could have put you at C tier. I know KaraFrance didn't get a walk-off, and neither did Chris Barnett. But, you know, that was a wheel kick. That was an amazing combination of amazing shots. But, like, walk it off. You don't need those extra shots. The extra shots made it more brutal, but ruined the pure KO that I was looking for. Either way, great uppercut, folded Curtis Blades backwards. I'm kind of giving it negative points because of the camera angle and just the smothered look of it, because I'd like to see a head snap back. You know what I mean? I like to see the fucking sweat spray off their head as they get hit by these shots. I like to see it land flush and the whole shot land flush. You barely noticed that Derek Lewis hit him. It looked like he was almost not even throwing an uppercut, but going for an underhook. And then Blade sort of flopped backwards. So although it was an amazing KO, and definitely one of the best KOs of the year for sure, it wasn't quite top tier level because of the cleanliness of it. But either way, it definitely belongs at D tier. Moving on to the last KO, the best KO of the year, in my opinion, Ignacio Bahamondes versus Roosevelt Roberts. I believe it's, and I'm not even joking here, I think it's number 5. And Usman Masvidal's number 1. Big right hand on the chin. Wheel kick at the end of a crazy firefight with blood in his fucking eyes. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this face. This puts fucking Edgar's face to shame. I mean, Jesus Christ, no it doesn't. My God, I'm going to have fucking nightmares about that tonight. Either way, look at this KO. Beautiful, as Roosevelt was circling out, and my favourite part about this, he didn't even need it. He didn't need this KO. It needs to be mentioned. Ignacio Bahamondes was winning that fight extremely, extremely clearly going into the end of that third round. If he just went to a decision, he would have won the fight very clearly on all the judges' scorecards. There's not a chance they would have given it to Roberts. He was dominating that fight. And still, he's looking for wheel kick KOs to give us that treat at the end of the fight. And it was one of the best wheel kick KOs you've seen. Quick, effective, straight leg, right on the jaw, perfect range. Found it immediately. Heel connected with the chin, flushed it over. The rest of the foot pushed the head around as well to give it a real cool look as the sweat and blood sprayed off the face of Roosevelt Roberts. And his whole neck got fucking Dr. Boo Hightower adjusted on us live on fucking Fight Night. He got destroyed in that round by brutal wheel kick KO. It was a walk-off as well. It wasn't even needed because he had already won, but he just wanted to put him out of his misery just before the end. It was an amazing KO, and it definitely belongs in this KO list at the S tier level. I mean, it was the best. It was the best. It was Fizzyev against Riddell, but it was a walk-off. It was clean. It wasn't partially blocked. It didn't land entirely with a foot. It snapped the head back even more. And Roosevelt got taken off his fucking feet by it. Flew backwards. Landed on the canvas. It was the best KO I've seen. Definitely this year. And it's definitely part of the top 10 KOs of all time. Yeah, I would imagine. Amazing KO. Not quite high level as the rest of them, but that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at what was the best technique. What was the best KO. What shocked me the most. You know what I'm saying? Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip, I'll see you later. These are the real best KOs of 2021. UFC, take your fucking notes. And I want to mention that as well. These fucking, I just watched the best, what I'll do next is the best submissions of the year. That'll be my next video tomorrow, I believe. Because I've been watching these Best Submission of the Year nominees. I put a comment on that video. It had the most likes at one point, but now it doesn't, conveniently, UFC. It suddenly stopped gaining any likes over the past few days. Either way. Roasting them because they had a bunch of shit contenders for the Best Submission of the Year. I've seen a rear naked choke. Fair play, Moreno was cool to see him win against Figueiredo. I've seen a rear naked choke. I've seen Juliana Peña's wasn't even under the fucking chin, and it's in the mix. Like, I'll break down the real best submissions of the year in my next video of these. Subscribe if you want to see it, because the UFC is literally just doing, hey, best knockouts of the year, but it's basically best knockouts that happened in championship bouts. Hey, we're doing best submission of the year, but only in championship bouts, where there's someone we can promote to sell pay-per-views that maybe has a fight coming up in a couple of weeks on the UFC 270 card in Moreno. Like, it just, I don't like it. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll make the real best submissions of 2021 tomorrow. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.